Welcome to Rare Aware New Zealand. I'm Alana Peck. This podcast is dedicated to raising awareness and sharing the voices of people living with rare disorders in New Zealand. Around 1 in 17 New Zealanders are affected by a rare condition. For many, finding answers and support can take years. Here we speak with individuals, families, and experts to help build greater understanding, connection, and support for the rare disorder community. Thank you for listening and being part of the Rare Aware journey. For more information on Rare Disorders New Zealand, you can visit us at www.raredisorders.org.nz. Good morning, Denise. Thanks very much for having me in your home in Auckland. I'm looking forward to hearing about your journey with Foetal Anticonvulsant Syndrome and all the impact that you've had in New Zealand with rare disorders.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and talking with you.
So Denise, can you take us back to how you first became involved in advocacy around fetal anticonvulsant disorder?
That is a journey and a half, I tell you. So my girls have fetal valproate spectrum disorder, which back when they were 4.5 and got diagnosed, it was actually called Foetal Anticonvulsant Syndrome. And so we noticed things were happening, a lot of things were happening with the girls, and we're just wondering, why is so many things happening with the girls? And like, it just seemed a bit weird. And all the physicians that we were seeing were putting it down to the fact that they were twins. It's like, no, all these things can't be because they're twins, or else they would be saying, oh, it's because they're premature. Well, no, not all these things are because they're premature either. And it wasn't until we saw a geneticist who happened to be a dysmorphologist, and I didn't know there was such a thing as a dysmorphologist. Look that up, people, because I didn't know what it meant. And when we saw him, he knew all of the symptoms we were talking about with our girls, and we actually had the girls with us, was able to see all their facial features and said, look, I suspect they have Foetal Valproate syndrome, but we'll just do a blood test to rule out anything else. And so it did get found out they had Foetal Valproate syndrome. Now, when I got the diagnosis, well, not me personally, but my girls got the diagnosis of Foetal Valproate syndrome, I didn't know what that meant. And I'm thinking, okay, I've got to find some support somewhere regarding this. And I was teaching at the time. And so I decided, okay, as everyone does, go to Google and see what you can look up. Couldn't find any support within New Zealand. The closest support I found was over in the UK. And so the person in the UK was really supportive and actually put me onto a person who was living here in New Zealand but was from the UK. So that was my very first interaction with someone else who had children with the same syndrome. And I'm thinking pretty selfishly at first that I actually need to connect to people here in New Zealand, because it was lovely connecting with people over in the UK. But I wanted to actually meet people locally, within New Zealand that had the same syndrome, and we can talk about the same things. And so I thought, look, I'm going to set up my own charitable organisation. I probably didn't realise how big a step that was going to be in hindsight, but I had a very supportive mother-in-law and husband who helped me set up the charitable organisation, and that was back in 2015. So here we are, 11 years on, and so that's how I actually got involved with advocacy first of all.
So that's what your the particular moment that shifted things from personal concern to public advocacy?
Absolutely, because I was looking at this going, I don't want this to happen to anybody else, because it was guaranteed that there were going to be other people who had been affected, not just my girls. Yeah. And so I was looking at it going, morally, I can't actually sort of stand by and watch this happen, knowing that I can change it. I'd already tried to make some changes prior to forming a charitable organisation. For example, I had contacted MedSafe and said to them, look, this medication is harming babies, during pregnancy. What are you going to do about it? And I recall a conversation that a MedSafe staff member had with me, and she said, if you had called up about if there was mud in your medication, we could do something, but for this, we can't. Go and lodge a complaint with Health and Disability Commissioner. I was stunned because I wanted change not for myself, because my girls were already harmed, but change for everybody else.
Yes.
So I went to the Health and Disability Commissioner and lodged a complaint. They wanted to blame individuals when I was lodging the form. And I didn't want to blame individuals because I was about systemic change. And so when it came back that the HDC actually said, oh no, they gave the knowledge of the time for these healthcare professionals, and I believed them at this stage because I didn't know what I know now.
Yes.
And so the HDC decided nothing needed to be done.
So no change for future patients, future consumers, future families that are going to face this harm, whether it's at birth or later on down the track. Nothing.
None. So I decided to reach out to the pharmaceutical company that actually Valproate, is distributed by, and they are in Australia, the main company, because the medication Valproate is known as Epilim here in New Zealand, and the medication comes to Australia, and so I phoned up Australia company, which is Sanofi, and said, look, your medications are harming people. What are you doing about it? Again, I didn't know what I know now, which I'll get onto that in a moment.
Yes.
And they basically said, we're going to do nothing because we've already provided information. Now, I thought that stink because they haven't provided information. Now, in my role that I've been doing for FAC NZ, I've been to the National Archives in Wellington, and I have been able to get archive information, and the pharmaceutical company at the time, which was Reckitt and Coleman in 1975, actually informed the government, the New Zealand government agencies, that this medicine was teratogenic. So teratogenic means harmful to babies during pregnancy. So our government agencies knew from 1975, and my girls weren't born until 2001. So they had known all that time.
26 years
they'd known and done nothing to ensure the safety of those poor babies.
So it's 26 years of family harm when someone knew.
And also, the particular geneticist who diagnosed my girls, who was a wonderful man, he had been diagnosing children since the 1980s. So, basically 15 odd years before my girls were even born.
That is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking.
Truly heartbreaking. That an agency that's meant to help and protect and serve the country would not do anything about that. I'm lost for words, honestly.
Yeah, especially knowing, because the thing is, you've got to remember at that stage I was just looking, this was prior to setting up my charitable organisation, I was looking into Valproate only.
Yes.
And so finding out this information, but when I set up the organisation, I actually started looking at all the anti-seizure medications. And so the National Archives was a wealth of knowledge. It was great. And I actually want to say that the information that I gained from there, those documents have now been closed by the Ministry of Health for the next 50 years. So nobody can access them. The public cannot access them. So they're basically trying to hide our history.
Why?
They're damaging reports. They show
Because
that,
people are actually looking at them.
yep, and they show that the harm was known when these medications came out. This dates back to medications that were out in the 60s. There's information there that they knew these medicines were harmful to babies.
Has anyone ever been, any organisation ever been held accountable for this?
No. And that's something we are trying to do at the moment as FAC NZ, and we've been in contact with the Minister of Health about, is because originally we wanted a restorative response, and just like the Mesh did here in New Zealand. And certainly overseas there had been inquiries and everything around Valproate exposure during pregnancy, but of course we want it for all anti-seizure meds during pregnancy. And so we have been told straight out from the Ministry of Health that absolutely no, you cannot have a restorative. So we're thinking, okay, if we can't have a restorative, we need a public inquiry. The thing is, this is going to actually affect tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
We're spanning over 50 years of harm, and no one has been held account. We're talking about government agencies, and so we have an upcoming meeting with the minister that we are hoping that we can get some sort of inquiry happening.
Yeah. To me, it makes sense to look back at all of that for preventative measures in the future.
100%, because no one's looking at our history, and there's been, like I said, so many people harmed. What are you going to do about those people who are harmed? They're hurting.
Yeah.
The very least, they need an apology. But guess what? None of them want people to be getting harmed in the future. So learn from the mistakes of the past to change the future for a positive outcome.
Yeah, and stop families from not having to go through this for no reason.
Absolutely. Because in some cases, the people we support, their babies actually died. You've got to, acknowledge those babies. They're our FACs.
Humans.
Yeah, they're our FACs angels, as we refer to them. Their lives mattered. All of our FACs harmed whānau matter.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just like, this is, unreal. It's sad.
To know that it's preventable.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah, and people haven't had informed consent. The childbearing person hasn't had informed consent or informed choice around the medications she's taking or they are taking during pregnancy, because they are the only ones who know what is right for them.
Yes.
I always talk about, you've got the healthcare provider or prescriber sitting across the table from you. And I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of the specialists think they are above you. And when you come from a generation of, you put the specialists on a pedestal, you believe every single word they are saying, because, they've been to, all these educations and got, these not numbers, letters after their name and everything. So, oh yes, I'm going to believe you. And so I always say, actually, they are equal. You're both equal. The person, the consumer who is sitting across from that professional, you're equal, because the professional needs to provide you with the correct information, and that's actually what they have to do, informed consent and informed choice, and the only person who's going to know what is right for them is the person sitting across from the healthcare professional.
Yes.
They know that, okay, if I stay on these medications, there's a possibility my baby could be harmed and I'm going to have a disabled child for the rest of my life. But you know what? I choose that.
Yes.
But if they say, actually, no, I'm not comfortable with that, and they don't choose it, that's their choice as well. I have also known of situations where the woman in this particular circumstance got pregnant, and the baby was had so many congenital malformations that she actually chose to have an abortion. And it wasn't until after she had had an abortion, her neurologist actually said, oh yeah, I suppose I should have told you that ahead of time. We better change your medication for your next pregnancy. So it's like this poor woman had to go through, the whole abortion and everything, yet that healthcare provider had that information and should have been sharing it ahead of time.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that we know as much as our medical professionals because we're living these conditions
24/7.
Yeah, and my personal experience is that if I hadn't already had a child with a rare disorder, I wouldn't know how to advocate for my second child that ended up with a rare disorder.
Absolutely.
But I shouldn't have to know how to advocate like that
No.
by having that history.
No.
That's terrible that a doctor knew that information and had the cheek to say it after the fact.
Exactly.
When that mum is already going through the most horrific time of her life.
Yes.
I hope she changed neurologists because I wouldn't be sticking with them.
Interesting enough, no. I mean, when you're in the public system, you don't get
stuck.
a lot of choice.
You're stuck with what you got, unless you change postcode, eh?
Yep, exactly.
So that's what led you into really advocating for all medicines.
Absolutely. I mean,
have warning labels.
Yeah, the anti-seizure medications.
But that also includes things like gabapentin.
Absolutely.
And pregabalin and all these medications that my daughter had been on. Not that she's going to be having children anytime soon. But after hearing that, I was like, oh, she's on 3 of those different medications. And I'm like, so I was checking those boxes. I'm like, I really need to start. I need to start looking at those boxes better. But at the same time, she's out of an age where she could have a baby. We weren't informed of that.
Absolutely. Because the thing is, people hear anti-seizure medication, so they think, I don't have epilepsy, so it doesn't mean me.
Yes.
Whereas, of course, anti-seizure medications are used for mental health conditions, migraines, neuropathy, and actually in the rare disorder community, there is a lot of people who are on anti-seizure medications for whatever reason, and they don't know that they're on one. And a lot of them will be of childbearing potential and not realise they need to have this information.
Yeah, I've got trigeminal neuralgia myself, and I was on so many different anti-seizure medications for the nerve pain. And I never recall my doctor saying to me, and that was prior to us having our second 2 children. So that's 12 years ago.
Yeah.
No discussion around that at all.
No.
And that's where it should be. Like, as soon as, in my mind, it should be as soon as they put that in to put on a prescription, that warning should come up and they should look and go, right, you're of childbearing age, whether you're, 16 or you're 50, they should be saying, hey, look, just a side note, this medication could cause this. Like, to me, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And actually the conversation needs to occur sooner than that, when they're actually still in paediatric age and not even of childbearing potential age, because the thing is, eventually they're going to become of childbearing potential age, and I mean, it's really difficult, and I can talk about this personally, changing from one anti-seizure medication to another. It's a whole process.
Yes.
And so if you're going to do that, it can take 6 to 12 months. And so, of course, there's lots of unplanned pregnancies as well.
Yes.
So
And that only takes 9 months.
exactly.
You know.
And so, you know, the damage would already be done with an unplanned pregnancy, unfortunately. And so that's when the caregivers for that, pediatric child needs to be informed, but also the the pediatric child needs to know as well, in a way. And we've been working with the Ministry of Health, and there is an animation for sort of people in pediatric age around anti-seizure medications. It's a really nifty little animation that it isn't heavy, if you know what I mean. It's not like, oh my God, freak out, freak out. It's sort of kept light and energetic and all of that, so you're not frightened to watch it.
Like an episode of Bluey.
Yeah, pretty much.
Animation.
You know, animation. Someone's on a skateboard, you know, someone's dunking a basketball and things like that. So it's kept in a way that will keep that pediatric person actually looking at it and taking on that information.
Yes. Without being scared about that or their future.
Absolutely.
And especially for peers around them as well, watching them go through that. I'm a firm believer of, we have a book called 22Q, The Abilities in Me, and I take it into my son's class every year, and the teacher reads it. So all those kids can read that book and see that Lachlan wears a hearing aid and he has a clef and he can't speak as clearly as he'd like to, and he has sore legs, so sometimes he can't run or he's in a wheelchair. It takes all the questions out. The kids are like, oh, he's got 22Q.
Yeah.
There's no bullying, oh, a Lachlan is lazy or Lachlan this, Lachlan that. It just takes it out. So I can imagine that animation would be really helpful for families and extended families and schools and communities to help those children without anyone being fearful of that condition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
what a great resource.
Yeah, and I mean, those who know the paediatrician Jen Russell, she was involved with it, and so it's fantastic. And you know, it is on the Ministry of Health website. It's on their YouTube page, I should say, and so you can go onto there and actually play it and everything. And there's other videos on there as well, with 2 of our mothers that have had people with FACs and one with fetal valproate spectrum disorder. And then we also have a lovely young lady who is taking anti-seizure medication for mental health reasons, who hasn't actually had informed consent or choice, and so is on a journey of discovery. And so it's really nice to see someone who's on that journey. And actually, to be honest, she's a personal friend of my daughter's.
That's awesome. And how lucky is she to have you, this wealth of knowledge around this condition and these things that should just be black and white and happen to help through that journey as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I look at the space where we were before FAC NZ started and the space that we are now, and I can certainly see the changes. The changes seem to be at snail's pace for me, but I can certainly see some changes. I mean, when you were talking about warning labels and everything before, I think of the epilim box, and I'm deliberately using the word epilim here, and it's because we know with epilim up to 40% of the babies exposed in utero will be harmed. That's a high number. And so I wanted to get onto the boxes in foil the same information that was happening worldwide, like in the UK and stuff. So in the UK, they had got warnings on the boxes and pictogram. And so it was interesting. MedSafe said no to this. Of course, I wasn't taking no for an answer. So when I actually went over to the UK, I met with the Medicine Health Regulatory Authority, which is the equivalent of MedSafe over there, and talked to them about it and everything. So I managed to get MedSafe to agree to it. I also, when it came to the foil, there was a hard no on that as well. And again, fought that one with MedSafe, got it, because I used information from MHRA again.
Yep.
And because it was really interesting, that day I had my daughter in the meeting with me, with the head of MedSafe. Normally I don't have my daughter in a meeting, it's just that I had her with me. And he actually agreed that they would allow the pictogram on the foil. That's if they had to get the Therapeutic Goods Administration over in Australia to agree. Anyway, I'm like, okay, I can see this is going nowhere. So I made it a meeting with the New Zealand Women's Commonwealth Party, Parliamentarian Party. And so met with them. Louisa Wall was the co-chair at that time. Louisa emailed over to basically her counterpart over in Australia, and within 2 weeks it was agreed upon and it got done.
Well done.
So
squeaky wheel, eh?
Squeaky wheel, yes.
And take your child along, because your child is the reason why you're sitting there.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're advocating. And every time you think they're going to win, you look at your child and go, no, they're not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was really good for my daughter to be in that meeting, but it was even better for the MedSafe staff member to see my daughter. He kept looking at her the whole time.
Wouldn't it be great to know what he was thinking?
Yeah. Who knows what he was thinking?
It's just, these people are human as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're parents, they're grandparents, they're family members, they're part of society. So why would they not want to go extra steps when someone brings it to them and say, hey, we need to be doing this?
Yeah.
Is it a money thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it we don't want to label our boxes saying that they could cause harm?
Yeah.
When we know that they do?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is something that is coming out that is super secret. So
we might have to do a part 2.
Yeah, might have to. Yeah, actually, and have Jackie.
Let's do a part 2 with
and
Jackie.
Have Jackie with that one, because it is going to be the first of its kind in New Zealand for the secret thing that's coming out later in the year.
Oh no, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. So I mean, we're super excited because this has been almost 10 years in the making, this super secret thing, and it's only happened because of the Minister of Health making it happen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's making lots of things happen at the moment.
Yeah, he is. He's really liking the rare disorder community. Hooray!
Twice in 1 week we've had talk with him. Isn't that great?
Yep, absolutely.
Isn't it so nice that he shakes your hand and he looks at you and treats you like you're a human being standing right in front of him?
Yeah.
Like rare disorders last week at Parliament, talking with Lisa Foster and Sue, and I'm like, you both must feel so proud of this, and it's bittersweet for them for all the hard work they've done trying to get the strategy through.
That's right.
And Sue's like, well, that was a story. So, yeah,
but I mean,
great.
It's a huge success for all of the community. But yeah, Lisa and Sue were right there from the beginning, and so when I was saying to Jackie, reminding Jackie about Sue was the one who was going into the minister's office, and actually,
Fear for Real,
yeah,
wasn't it? Campaign.
yeah, and actually was there right at that ground. It was like awesome to see that. So one of the lifers
Yes.
is like done this awesome work, as well as Lisa.
100%. And like you said before about things don't go as fast as you like. I'm a bit like that too. I like things to go. The train was very slow this morning, by the way, compared to Australia's trains, very slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to, I don't understand why we are so slow at making things happen when there's really no need. When people's lives are impacted dramatically, like carers are burnt out.
Yeah.
There's hardly any support out there at the moment. People like talking in the rare disorder community with other families, and they are like their home is their safety net, because anything outside that is just so much.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I mean, it shouldn't be like that, because the whole thing, you look at some of the things that we're asking for, these are common sense things.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a whole wad of money to actually implement these things. It's like common sense, people, common sense. And we know for certainly some rare disorders, the sooner you get in there and
Yes.
helping and getting, whether it's getting the right medication, getting the right supports, whatever, the better the outcome.
Yes, I was reading just yesterday around having the early genetic sequencing done, and how much it costs to have someone in NICU.
Mm-hmm.
Like $5,000 a night. Who knew? I didn't know that. I thought it was like the standard at $1,200 a night.
No.
Hospital care. Obviously, with NICU, there's more nurses and staff involved. But having that early diagnosis, like for us with our child, he was 3.5. So he was so delayed in having all the cleft surgeries and the hearing, and he's been so let down by the system because he should have been diagnosed at birth. In utero, he should have been diagnosed, and he was missed.
Yes.
So there's so many things, and as a parent, I wear that guilt that he should have been diagnosed. But it just frustrates me if there's things in place like newborn screening, or in your case, prevention. Then why should we still be having these conversations in 2026?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you're absolutely right when you talk about like a mother's guilt or a parent's guilt. And it is, even though you know in your mind that it's not your fault, in your heart, you still feel like it is. Especially when I look at, our kiddies, like our FACS kiddies and everything. And, we were the ones that were taking the medication. And it's like, okay, if I wasn't taking that medication, Bubs would have been fine. But then I always say to myself, well, actually,
you wouldn't have been fine though.
I wouldn't have been fine, but I would have, I would have made other choices if I'd had informed consent. But it's the medication that has done this, not me.
Not you.
It's a chemical that was going into my body. You think about all the things of, oh, can I take paracetamol in pregnancy?
Can I eat ham from deli? Can I eat sushi?
Yeah, it's like, can I do all of these things? And so we worry about these things, and yet something that was prescribed to me by a specialist, and I had seen 2 specialists prior to getting pregnant, and I was getting the wrong information. It's like, wow, okay, I did the best I could, but that guilt is still in there. And, it's a hard one, because like the information I was given by the neurologist, I asked, because again, like I said, I asked specifically what the medication would do to an unborn baby. I was told there was only a very small chance of spina bifida or neural tube defects. Just take folic acid and everything will be fine.
Yes.
Or else I could come off the medication, have seizures, the baby would be oxygen deprived, therefore brain damaged. Well, guess what? I did everything the neurologist said to me, and my baby is actually, well, my babies, they have been not brain damaged, but it's brain trauma.
Yes. So if you don't mind talking a wee bit more about your children and what life looks like for them because of the implication of having this medicine when you're pregnant with them.
You know, I had to do a speech one time, and I wrote in this speech that before the girls were 10 years old, they had had almost 10 operations combined. No one should have to go through that many operations at such a young age, you know. And the thing is, I was in every single one of those operations, holding them as they're getting the gas put onto them. If you have ever been into an operating room holding your own child until they come a dead weight, it's the most horrific thing.
It is. And you know, the soap at the hospital sets me off now. It takes me back to that every single time.
Yep, I agree, 100%. I absolutely agree about the soap. I remember when I was going to do a talk, actually for a grand round at a hospital, and I went into the bathroom and washed my hands. And of course, the soap, it triggered me off. And this is just before I'm about to do a grand round. And of course, as you know, that soap smell doesn't go away quickly.
No.
So it's like, oh my gosh, the smell. So to just sort of try and forget about that smell that I could have on my hands and everything. It's like, yeah, absolutely.
It is. And it's, I had this conversation the other day with someone, and I said, you know, it sucks being the patient, but it really sucks being the person watching the patient have seizures and have all these medical events and medical traumas and medical surgeries and everything that happens to them. Being the person on the outside, having to watch that happen, is, we always give counselling to the ones that are going through it, but not the ones that are going through it with them.
Yes.
And I find that really difficult, that if we look after our carers and our parents and our support networks, then that means that families can live better lives. Not supporting them is, it just dumbfounds me.
Yeah.
I see the other day our lovely friend Sue.
Yes.
She shared a post from Australia, and it said about International Women's Day. And I'm not sure if you've seen it, but that it's worth $17 billion to the economy over there for unpaid carers. Yeah. Which traditionally are usually mums. Yeah. Or nanas. Yeah. It's really interesting that we focus so much on the patient.
Yes.
And it takes a village.
It does. It's really interesting because I remember I was getting interviewed for a radio, it was a radio interview because there had been a launch of some booklets around FACs. It was through the ACC prevention team, which was done very early on of our organisation being founded. And, you know, the presenter was basically asking how I'm doing. And I was like, oh, this hasn't happened to me. It's happened to my daughters. And so this is, you know, you're talking about, this is only within the space of the last 11 years. And it's taken me, you know, quite a long time to actually realise it's happened to me as well.
Yes.
And then when you realise that, it's like, oh, wow, okay. It just sort of takes that whole nother level. And because like I remember when I was writing some booklets, first of all, for when FACS was being founded, and I asked my mother-in-law to have a read of one of the booklets, because I wanted her to sort of have an input. And she was actually talking about the grief for her. And she said she grieves for her grandchildren and she grieves for her son.
Yeah.
And I had never even considered that she would be grieving. And it's like, oh, okay, that's a whole another level I hadn't even thought of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And I'm not sure if you've got other children, but it's the siblings as well that go through this life of what I always say, we're on the same journey to the same place at the end, wherever that is. But we just have other bridges and sometimes really broken roads to get there. And I find that my now 10-year-old said, can I have 22Q so I can go to these things? I was like, no, mate, you can go to them, but you don't need to have the 22Q. But it just made me really think about how he looked at our life, and he had to have that to get that. So it's when I was like, right, I need to start spending a bit more time with you. That's not, because our life became medical.
Yes.
And our people around us are other rare disorder families because they get it.
Exactly.
I don't have to explain anything.
Yes.
And
yes.
it's really hard to say, yeah, but I sort of look at it now and I think, well, if I hadn't gone through this journey, I wouldn't have met all the amazing people through Rare Disorders New Zealand, like Sue, and you ladies. And I think, yes, it's really crappy what we've been through, but we've also learnt to value life a lot more.
Yes.
And I know it sounds corny, but it is really true for me that we look at each achievement. Yay, they went to school for a week. That's huge.
Yes.
So it's not about, oh, my child got an A in everything. It's we went to school this week. Yes. To me, that's a win.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, because, I mean, in our house, we celebrate unique. And it's like, I always say, why would you want to be like anyone else? You know, it's cool to be unique. And then unique or quirky or whatever you want it to be. And then, but like the whole celebration of, it's milestones and, you know, significant things for us. I remember when one of my daughters, and she would have been, I think, about 20 at the time, learnt how to cross a quiet road by herself. This was major, absolutely major for us. But anyone else would be like, okay, what is going on? You know, oh, my son, he's moved out of home. This one's going to university. It's like, actually,
Like,
no.
cool.
Yeah, it's like, I can't deal with your stuff. Sorry. I'm going to stick in my little group that when I say that, they celebrate with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear Lachlan's on the bus to school now.
Huge.
A year ago, he'd locked me out of the car, so I couldn't get him out of the car to go to school.
Yeah.
It's huge. And it is
Huge.
wins like that. And that's like I find with the 22Q families that I look to older families and I see what their kids are doing. And it gives us hope.
Yeah.
And it also gives us some preparation of what we need to focus on. And then now there's other younger families coming through that I have a lot to do with as well. And it's like they look to me of what's happening. One, for instance, the cleft surgery that Lachlan had. And being able to speak with those families, I feel like I'm giving back to them what I've received from the older families.
Yes.
And it's so cool that I'm grateful that it's not an ultra rare condition. So we do have people to talk to in New Zealand, because it is very different overseas.
Oh, so different.
It's hugely different overseas. We are really lucky. We've got a doctor from Philadelphia who was here a month ago doing a presentation at our family conference here. She flew out just for that.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, it's incredible to have people. So that's why I feel like with the rare disorders community, it doesn't matter what the condition is, we can pull on each other for anything, because we face the same barriers.
Yes. Yes.
And we face the same community barriers and medical and social barriers.
Yes.
And it's really cool when I go to inclusion things, sports. And I was at one in Ashburton on Monday night basketball. There was 18 uniquely different people, and they had an absolute ball. And I said to the coach, I said, you know what, this beats typical basketball any day. This was
Absolutely.
fun.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, this was, my daughter plays wheelchair basketball. I was like, this was even more fun than watching them play. So it was just seeing everyone's faces, and they were stopping and letting kids have a go at shooting hoops. And I'm like, all those parents were celebrating everyone's child, like it's before going back to crossing the road.
Yeah.
Celebrating together those and having people like us around is the biggest thing. And it's probably been the biggest shift for us as well. Just having, the rare disorders community is really unique.
Yeah, it is. Unique.
Unique.
That's right.
There you go. You're onto it.
Yeah. I mean, I look at, you know, when you're talking about the inclusive community and everything, I look at when we've had get-togethers with our FACS community, and of course, with the dysmorphic facial features, a lot of the kids look like one another. They actually look like sisters or brothers or siblings or cousins, and actually get mistaken for that as well. And so they can see they're not alone, and that's why, it's so important for us to have youth ambassadors as well. So they, the younger ones can see the older ones going through and what they're doing.
Well, do you know another condition that has the dysmorphic features? 22q.
There you go.
We went to a zoo day and all these boys, and they all looked like each other. And Lachlan, he said to me about a year ago, he goes, who am I with? Who's that lady? And I said, mate, that's not you. He goes, yeah, it is. I was like, no, that's another child. He's like, oh, man, he looks like me. I was like, yeah, you're handsome boys.
Yeah.
So like even he was confused. He thought he was this child with this lady.
Yes.
And he couldn't understand that. And I'm like, but remember, you're 22q. You all have the same similar facial features. And it's really cool for them to know, because he does not look like his three siblings. And the attitudes are pretty much the same of his siblings. But it's really important for them to have some identity.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. And with the facial features, I'm really excited for in Australia, they're looking for people with rare disorders so they can start pinpointing certain facial features that go with rare disorders.
Yes.
And I think that is going to be a real game changer, because I don't know about you, but I can walk down the street, I'm like, they've got 22q.
Yes.
Or I hear them talking, and it's hard. I don't ever say anything to them, but I'm like, I wonder if I'll ever come across you in the future. It's really interesting how it works.
Yep. Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I'll be like, oh yeah, that person looks like they've got some of our facial features, and of course, we would never say to them or anything, but yeah, it's like you say, oh, I wonder whether I'll see them in the future. Yeah. And because often when parents reach out to us, they're reaching out about one of their children, and say they have 3 children, and I start asking about their other children as well. Yeah. And then it soon becomes evident that maybe, another one, if not all of them, actually have symptoms of whatever syndrome or spectrum disorder regarding FACS. So it's like, that's when I suggest, because I always judge whether they could cope with this information or not. It's like, it might be worth taking all 3 of your children to the pediatrician versus just the one. And it's just more of, because I know what's coming for them. And, I think the more information people get, the better the outcome actually.
It is. And I feel like information from humans instead of Googling, which Google is great for some things, but being able to have a support group in New Zealand that understands our medical system, that we are still postcoded even though they reckon we're not, that being able to find people in New Zealand that understand it better. Like, there is no specialist as such for certain conditions, but find someone that is interested in it and help upskill them so they can then help upskill other doctors. Yes. And I'm a firm believer that we can teach our doctors as much as they teach us.
Yes.
And, when we don't expect them to know 7,000 rare disorders, but we expect them to know how to Google and find someone to ask for help.
Do you have guidelines with FACs?
Sort of.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only for Valproate.
Yes.
And with the Valproate one, of course, things have developed over time as well. So the information is really good information. But unfortunately, some, specialists are using it as a guide for all of the anti-seizure medications, which isn't correct because they all present a bit differently, right down to the dysmorphic facial features can present differently, whether you're exposed to carbamazepine or Valproate. So that's what people don't realise. And so they're like, oh no, they haven't got the dysmorphic features like, such and such. It's like, but they were exposed to a different medication. And also the guidelines don't take into account if you've been on more than one anti-seizure medication, or if you've been on an anti-seizure medication and let's say an antidepressant as well, because those can interact together, and so the risk profile is higher. So there's a lot of variables, and that's why it's so important to actually have a specialist who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, 100%.
Otherwise, you're just sending someone to, say a pediatrician or geneticist for the sake of sending them, and the person's just going to go, no, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah. It's where it comes back to prevention, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it so does. Yeah.
So little investment by the medicine companies, huge gain for our New Zealand medical system and our families and quality of life and schooling, because it affects everything.
It does.
It honestly, when we talk about people with medical conditions, everyone just thinks it's health, or it's not.
No.
It's every component of someone's life.
Yes.
Like you said before, crossing the road. Getting out and going to a supermarket where it's bright and noisy and, and supermarkets are making changes. They're having quiet days where people can come in. Like if a supermarket can do that for maybe 5 people in their township, how cool is that?
I know, so exactly.
Why can't we be doing more?
Yeah.
So what's next for FACs besides the secret announcement?
Oh, yeah.
In part 2?
Well, I mean, what's next is trying to get this public inquiry.
Yeah.
Because if we don't do that, we're going to be in the same status quo, because unfortunately some of the things that have been tried to be implemented through the Ministry of Health haven't included any consultation or any co-design with us. And so they're going to fail. Sorry, people, but they're going to fail.
Yeah.
And then you've got the things that have had the co-design, like these videos and everything, and they're brilliant. So there needs to be more co-design. There's definitely more prevention work on the arise. But yeah, just we need to get this in public inquiry. Important.
Yes.
Because I think, like I was saying before, the very least, there needs to be an apology, an acknowledgement with an apology, a sincere apology. Because when you've been harmed, it's hard to get past the fact that, again, this was preventable.
Yes.
And no one has taken accountability.
Yeah. And it's very hard after the fact for them to try and change your personal situation when the damage is already done. Yes,
and because what is actually then happening is there's intergenerational trauma happening.
Yes.
So, here's this family that has no trust in the health system or the education system, disability system, a whole range of systems, and they're angry because no one's taken account, they're grieving, they're all this sort of stuff. And then, of course, the children are seeing this too, and so they can, and it's happening to them, like on that level. And so that trauma is being carried on. We need to make sure that trauma is going to stop. Otherwise, it's just going to keep going down with the generations.
It is. And again, when we're not here for a very long time, we need to make it quality. And it doesn't matter how much money you have or where you come from. These conditions don't discriminate.
No.
At all.
No.
So I just feel like it's something that, I don't know how I feel, to be honest. I think I have a lot of thinking to do after this around why. That it really frustrates me, the fact that they knew so many years ago.
I'll tell you a story, and might have to be edited out. So Jackie we were overseas. We were seeing a researcher who we know well, and Jackie actually said, "Look, if men's dicks were falling off, it would, change would happen yesterday." And so the fact that it's women, or childbearing people, and the change isn't proactive, I think it kind of shows you where we stand.
Yes. Well, funny that, because at 4:00 this morning I had this conversation around hysterectomies and endometriosis and all sorts of things, and I said to my husband, well, you know what, if men had these problems, the earth would have no people on it.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like,
yes.
We take on so much being a female, and it is hard for the men to see. Well, sorry, it's not hard for them to see, it's hard for them to live it. But you're right, if things started falling off from medication, then stuff would get done.
Exactly.
Yeah, but these are babies.
Yes.
These are innocent little babies, and mums that should be enjoying pregnancy and enjoying those first few years and up into 20s, and then they leave home and then you enjoy them again.
Yeah.
Like, it should be that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a life sentence of advocating for our kids. It really shouldn't be. It honestly shouldn't be. No. Well, I really thank you. And like I said, I have learned so much today, and I'm going to be thinking about this for a while. And I look forward to catching up with part 2 with Jackie.
Yes.
We need to go somewhere nice and do this.
Yes.
Not that Auckland's not nice. It's beautiful today. Wellington was beautiful last week.
Yes, it was.
I'm looking forward to seeing more, and seeing you receive at Government House last year. What award did you get?
Oh, the Collaboration Award. Or are you talking about the...
I'm talking about the one on your wall.
The one on my wall, my officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, my officer of the New Zealand Merit. Yeah.
Wear it proud.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've looked at it several times since I've been sitting here, and it's quite bittersweet though, isn't it, to receive something like that for something that you've had to live personally yourself.
Yeah.
And keep going.
Thank
honestly,
you.
We love seeing you. We love seeing what you do, and I tell you what, it is inspiration for other groups. Yeah, it really is. And it's a squeaky wheel, and it's being collaborative and working with rare disorders, and everyone getting together and being loud and not alone and not rare.
Yes.
And we live in a small country, so we can make change.
Yeah. Together we are not rare.
Exactly.
No, it's been great talking to you, and I thank you so much.
You're very welcome.